G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. With that said, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, and let's get right into it. Can I tell my husband's doctor that he is an alcoholic? My spouse is a severe alcoholic who has just started seeing a primary care physician after an ultimatum. He lied to his physician about how much he drinks. The physician is concerned about his blood pressure, but doesn't know that it's tied to his alcoholism. He's on a new med that simultaneously helps with blood pressure and cirrhosis, but as far as I know, the doctor hasn't checked his liver function, etc. Would it be wrong to get a hold of the doctor and tell him my husband is an alcoholic before his next appointment? I would like to give my husband the best chance of survival, and I feel that this would help. And now in the comments, you can tell the doctor, but the doctor can't discuss your husband's medical info with you unless your husband okays it. And Dopey replies, I wouldn't be asking for my husband's medical info. I would just be informing the doctor. He can stay silent on the call as long as he listens. My husband, who is a recovering alcoholic, says give an ultimatum out of love, as in, I love you. Because I love you and want you to be healthy and happy, you need to tell your doctor the truth about your alcoholism. If you don't tell him, I will have to. If you were to tell the doctor behind his back, he would lose a lot of trust and respect. You can and should. How will your husband react? And OP replies, angry, upset, disappointed, maybe break up with me? Who knows? But I tried everything else. I can't sit by while he's taking meds while drinking that could shut his organs down, etc. As a recovering alcoholic and happily married man to the woman who ultimately saved my life, please do. I was not strong enough, because of the disease, to save my own life, but she was. It wasn't easy, and I was angry at times because that's the last thing an alcoholic wants: change. Remove the veil. Tell the doctor. And now, onto the update. So I wanted to take a moment to make an update, especially if anyone else is in my situation. My husband is a brilliant, high-functioning man who is able to get up for work at 5:30 a.m. every morning, but can also drink many bottles of wine a night. He refused to go to the doctor for years, but finally went. After several appointments, the doctor noted he had high blood pressure, but did not understand the likely cause because my husband was not honest with him. I know he was not honest with him because my husband told me he did not tell the doctor about his drinking problem. There was a lot of pleading with my husband to either tell the doctor or to allow me to tell him by accompanying him to a visit or otherwise. The answer was no. I know many folks advised me against calling the doctor to let him know, but I felt strongly that the medicine could inadvertently kill, given that it's contraindicated to alcohol. I watched someone close pass after she followed the same path and ended up on dialysis at the age of 60. Anyway, for me, it boiled down to the fact that this could save my husband's life. Would I regret not telling the doctor if my husband died? And yes, I would. I called the doctor, and he called me back. I told him that I knew that he couldn't discuss my husband's medical conditions with me, but I wanted him to listen to me, and he did. He was the most compassionate, wonderful soul, and said the information was very helpful, that he was there for my husband when he was ready to open up about it, and that he was there for me as well. I did not ask the doctor to keep the call a secret, so I don't know whether he will tell my husband tomorrow at his appointment that I called. But I would rather be the enemy for breaking trust than lose my husband from this world. And I don't believe there is any other world, but that is neither here nor there. We'll see if you ask King Paimon. Just kidding. And frankly, I'd even rather that my husband had a new wife, if he chooses to leave me over this, than have to witness his death. I hope that none of you are ever in this situation, but please understand that I feel my own hard decision here was thrust upon me by him/his disease. And now in the comments, bravo, bravo, well done, bravo. Quote, frankly, I'd even rather that my husband had a new wife than have to witness his death. I am exactly the same with those I love. I think I would tell him that I had done this before he sees his doctor next, and tell him why. Say, I'd rather have you alive and hating me than dead. I'm putting your needs ahead of your wants. Sometimes doing what is best for those we love is very difficult. I am proud of you, and I promise your husband will thank you for helping him eventually, even if his first reaction is anger. Hypertension is absolutely no joke and incredibly dangerous, much more than most people realize. And now on to the last update? My husband had his appointment late last week, and the doctor immediately told him that I had called and told him what I had said. After that appointment, my husband immediately confronted me. But guys, he was certainly angry that I went behind his back and that I lied, his words, about how much he drinks, and then he seemed almost thankful. I could see the look of betrayal in his eyes all night long, but I could also see how much he loved me. We hugged a lot that night, and he apologized for what he was putting me through. He said the doctor was very helpful. He told him he can have 2 drinks a night on his medicine, but a bottle is not okay. He also said he was potassium deficient from drinking on the meds, something he hadn't noticed before because he didn't know about the alcoholism, and told him he needs potassium. I feel like this doctor is very much our lifeline, our hope that we will grow old together. I am so happy that I did this, and if my husband doesn't make life changes, I will at least know that I tried everything that I could. And now in the comments, hell yes. This internet stranger is proud of you. I know it wasn't easy, and that you were scared, but you did it, and you gave your husband the best chance at a bright future. Alcoholics often feel betrayed when people acknowledge their alcoholism, but you did everything you could to save your marriage and save his life. I hope he pulls things together and that he then thanks you profusely for your patience and your intervention in his medical care. I'm glad it worked out for you. I'm one of the people that was adamant that you not tell the doctor. There is no such thing as just 2 drinks for an alcoholic. That is laughable. It's 0 drinks or too many. We will tell you whatever the F you need to hear so we can keep using. Only you can know if he's at rock bottom, but based on your story, he's nowhere near rock bottom. He has a spouse picking up the slack. It seems invasive, but sometimes people contacting the doctor is for the best. My mother was experiencing memory problems, but refused to acknowledge anything was wrong. She went to the doctor after pressure from the family, got cognitive testing, and performed normally. My aunt eventually called the doctor and insisted that my mother undergo further testing, as her cognitive function only seemed to be getting worse. Turns out, my mother was in such deep denial that she'd lied, or deluded herself, about passing the memory tests. She'd actually failed spectacularly and been referred for further testing. Who knows how long it would have been for her to get her Alzheimer's diagnosis and treated had my aunt not been her interfering busybody self. Sometimes we need to see that others will go to great lengths to save us. This man was able to see that his wife valued his life more than she valued their relationship. He was worth saving, even if it sacrificed her own happiness. That's a love worth fighting to keep. I'm late to the party, but I went through something like this, and while I get it, it's frustrating to see so many comments just telling OP to divorce him. My wife pretty much saved my life, and she had to do it rather forcefully. I drank pretty heavily throughout my 20s. Many people do, but it became less fun and more of a daily chore for me. Wife would patiently talk to me about cutting back, and I wouldn't. She wanted me to quit, and I started hiding it. I was self-medicating a severe anxiety issue. I was supposedly a month sober when she found the receipt in the pocket of my jeans. She had very obviously reached her limit, and an ultimatum was made. I hate that it took me that long for her to finally get through to me. I hate that it came to an ultimatum like that, but that was the last drink that I ever had, and it's crazy to think that it's been 6 years already. That's amazing that you were able to overcome it. The people who said divorce have probably had personal experience or know someone who was an alcoholic, and their downfall destroyed their family. Unfortunately, alcoholism is a disease with very low success rate of curing, if you can call it that. And trying to force someone to quit and then putting them through withdrawal can lead to violence against the family, and the person withdrawing can seize or even die. Watching someone die of alcoholism is just as bad. It has to be one of the worst ways that you can die. I work with many severe alcohol withdrawal patients, and they are by far the hardest patients to work with in my opinion, and they were always delirious, with unlimited energy, and often were verbally or physically abusive. The safest thing you can do for you and your loved one is to put the person in a treatment center to quit drinking. Do not try to do it at home, and you can't force someone to quit drinking. I'm not saying people should divorce their partner if they're an alcoholic, but I really can't blame people who do. What they put their families through is awful. Our next post is titled, "Would I be the asshole if I requested a different teacher for my second daughter over something that happened 5 years ago?" There's a lot of backstory I can get into, but it'll make the post super long, so for the sake of size, I'm going to try and TLDR it. So the TLDR of 5 years ago, my then 9-year-old daughter started puberty earlier than others her age, and body odor was a problem, and foot smell also runs in the family. We started using foot powder for her shoes, but sometimes it didn't help, and she habitually bounced her foot when working. Being young, she loved wearing flats to school and was in the class of RT, Rude Teacher. Rude Teacher pulled my daughter aside before recess and told her that she needed to keep her shoes on because she was making the classroom stink, and then days later called out my child's name in front of the entire class, prompting my child to put her foot down. The teacher thanked her and went on teaching. When I pointed out how embarrassing that was for a 9-year-old who doesn't have control of her body smells right now, the teacher was very blasé about the situation and how she'd handled it, and it gave my daughter body issues that she is still dealing with. She's going into 9th grade right now. I've never forgiven the rude teacher or gotten over it. Now, in May, requests for the upcoming school year were sent out. I requested my second daughter, D2, not be put into the rude teacher's class. I didn't go into detail as to why, I just requested she not be put in her class. Teachers were posted today, and lo and behold, daughter 2 is in the rude teacher's class. So daughter 2 has ADHD, gets very emotional very easily, and from what I heard from a friend who subbed for the rude teacher's class last year, it was a crap show. I have my reservations on how well the rude teacher would be able to handle the second daughter, or if there would be a similar situation of embarrassment for her. Would I be the asshole if I emailed the principal and asked her to move daughter 2 to the other teacher's class before school starts? I don't want to make her work harder, but I also don't like the approach of, just wait and see what happens. My husband, however, feels that we should give rude teacher another shot because we will have 2 other kids going into her class in the future, if she's still teaching, and we can't always ask for special placement because of something that happened 5 years ago. So, would I be the asshole? I have personal prejudices and biases concerning this right here, this situation. My sister went through primary school, and one of the classes she ended up in, the teacher was an absolute witch. To say the Wicked Witch of the West was merciful in comparison is an understatement. This woman was the Wicked Witch of Hell, and every single layer beneath it. And I personally got put in her class, again and then again. And of course, she carried the biases from my sister that she didn't get along well with to me. But instead of 1 year, I got stuck with her for 3 years in a row. And there was another male teacher that I could have been moved to, but no. Principal said, we're not going to do special favors because then everyone wants to go to his class because obviously she sucks. Seems like your son's going to have to put up with it. If I were you in this situation, OP, I'd say, well, before class goes in, swap someone from the other class that doesn't care about what teacher they're put with. Who cares in that situation because they'll be happy either way. We won't be happy if we have this devil teacher because she's no good. She stinks up the place. She breathes ash and soot, and that's not good for my kid. So I'm gonna go not the asshole for this one, OP. I very much am on your side. And now in the comments, not the asshole. You are never the asshole for doing what you can to protect your daughters from bullying. I would also be very honest, in a kid-friendly way, to your daughter about what is happening so that she knows you're on her side no matter what. OP replies, luckily daughter 1, the original student in the rude teacher's class, knew that I was on her side and pissed when we went to parent-teacher conferences, and after our meeting, I wanted to switch her. But she decided to tough it out because there was only a few months left at school. She's 14 now, but she still worries that she smells. She gets nervous about taking her shoes off around new people and will apologize for the smell that virtually doesn't exist anymore. See? That teacher created a trauma for her to work through. Don't let that happen to your kid with ADHD. Everyone sucks here. Your daughter should have been taught not to take off her shoes in class. That is disgusting, smelly feet or not. The teacher should have talked with you and your daughter privately about not taking the shoes off. But it sounds like she did. OP says she pulled daughter aside before recess to talk with her about keeping her shoes on to prevent the foot smell from spreading throughout the room. She's not clear at all about what happened to make the teacher call the child's name out in front of the class, only that saying her name apparently made her daughter put her foot down. Literally, I think. And OP replies, she would bounce her foot while working out of habit, so sometimes the flats would slide off her heel, not come completely off, just the heel. So she'd been working on classwork, bouncing her foot, and the heel slipped off. I'm not sure how long ago it was because I wasn't there, but the teacher loudly said her name, which caused the entire class to look at her. Are you sure it was about the smell though? I can imagine the repetitive bouncing would have been an auditory nuisance. This really just sounds like teaching to me. I'm sure your daughter's name wasn't the only name that she called all year. Even if she felt unduly called out, this happens to all kids. I'll be honest, I think you're really overreacting. And OP says, yes, because the teacher admitted it when we had a conference with her. I probably am. That's why I'm having the debate of asking to have D2 switched out or not, because as my husband said, it was 5 years ago, and I should probably let it go and give the teacher another shot. But she's also given my daughter body issues that still affect her to this day. The teacher messed up, and so did you. You should have gotten your kid to a doctor about her odor issues. You let your kid suffer. I did ask the doctor about it actually, but good on you for assuming that I hadn't. And now, onto the update. So I posted last week, and 99% of the comments told me that I wouldn't be the asshole, that I needed to advocate for my child and protect her from a bad teacher. So I emailed the principal that night and basically said, I'm so sorry. I know teachers just got posted, but I requested D2 not to be in the rude teacher's class. Is it possible to have her switched into the other class? On Monday, the principal called me and in essence said there is a lot that goes into making class lists. Academics have to be considered. Similar numbers of boys and girls in each class, making sure if any kids couldn't be in a class together they were split, so it's just too hard. I told her my side, and how I'm sure that nothing would likely happen, but for me personally, there is a non-zero chance of her causing undue harm to another of my children. She told me that she talked to the rude teacher many times, and although she's yet to see her teach, as she's new, that rude teacher is very nice, and she would talk to rude teacher without naming names to let rude teacher know that a parent was concerned about having their child in her class due to previous treatment of a sibling. On Tuesday, I talked to someone from the district that is the administrator for the schools in my area. He asked me about the situation. I told him, and I mentioned that the principal had said that it was too hard to switch students, so I was wondering if it was something that the district could do easier, and that I know that all it takes is one bad experience with a teacher to ruin a kid's school enjoyment. He said that the district didn't typically override the principal's decisions, but he wanted to talk to her because he agreed that what rude teachers said and did was inappropriate, and I shouldn't have to stress about another one of my kids being in her class. On Wednesday, the principal called me again. She was very shocked because when we talked, I thought that we'd reached an understanding, but I just got off the phone with my supervisor and, well, wouldn't you know it, there just happened to be a second grade teacher in her office, so the teacher helped the principal find a student who was equal to my daughter. They talked to the parents, and daughter 2 would no longer be in rude teacher's class. The principal said, you know, if you were still having reservations about her being in the class, you could have come to me. I said, I wasn't trying to go above you. You just said that it was too hard, so I didn't know if it was something the district could have an easier time doing. She ended with saying, well, we hope to see you at back to school night, and if you need anything, please let me know first. Anyway, that's the update. Thanks everyone for your judgment, insights, and those of you who shared a bad experience. I'm so sorry that you had to deal with that. And now in the comments, haha, I thought we were in agreement. Now means, I thought you accepted my refusal to consider your point of view. You go, Mom. And OP replies, thank you. That's definitely how I felt when she said that. Like, no, we weren't in agreement? You just pushed my concerns under the rug. FYI, as a sufferer of smelly feet, a 5-minute bath in hydrogen peroxide will get rid of the smell pretty much instantly for a while. Edit, you can do the same for stinky shoes. Nice. The principal was definitely caught off guard by the district coming into this issue and didn't expect that at all. I'm sure you showed plenty of concern, but the principal is one of those who is used to having the last words on things with parents, and often forget there is a whole slew of people above them who can pressure them to do the right thing. And OP replies, I think she definitely was. I had even told the district I wasn't calling to get her in trouble or anything, but that I'd felt like she'd decided she couldn't or wouldn't do it and didn't want to try. I worked in a public school as an aide for a while, and one thing administrators absolutely hate is when people violate the chain of command, whether they are parents or lower staff members. I went to the district supervisor to ask for placement at a different school, and the supervisor at my school got so annoyed at me. You did the right thing by going to the district, and I'm glad it worked out for you in the end. I had a daycare director try to give me an "I thought we had an understanding" dress down when I spoke to the owner of the daycare about an issue. We did have an understanding. I understood she wasn't interested in doing anything, and I understood it wasn't acceptable. Now we have a new understanding where we got to the place where we were meant to go. And OP replies, yes. Usually I'd be like, it is what it is. There's nothing I can do about it now. But after talking to my mom and getting an email that said rude teacher was so excited to have daughter 2 in her class, which I'm sure is just a template that she sends out to all students' parents, I was like, I need to try the district. If they can't do anything, then it is what it is. Way to go, OP. You should never feel guilty about advocating for your child or taking advantage of comms routes that exist in order to do that. If you can't raise a little fuss every now and then, what's the point? Like, it's absolutely BS about how hard it would be to move kids around. Exactly. I get that a lot goes into the class lists, but as my mum reminded me that Monday, there's 8 days until school starts. That is plenty of time to figure out how to switch her. Alright, and that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. That last story obviously scratches me the wrong way because, oh, what could have been? And I very much agree that experiences with a bad teacher can completely ruin your enjoyment of school. That's just how I feel. I imagine a lot of people feel the same way. And with that said, I'm going to end the episode now, so I guess you guys have a good one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.